This car is back in today for just some regular old maintenance. I have no idea when the transaxle oil was replaced, and when the car is cold, it is a little bit hard to shift, and that's somewhat normal. I don't know what type of oil is in it, so I've done some research and I think I got the correct oil. So I'm gonna show you guys how to replace the transaxle oil. The car's warm now, so I'm gonna lift it up, start it draining, and then we'll go over some of the details. Also, I need to work on the front fog lights. I'm gonna replace the bulbs in there. I think one of them's out. And also there's a procedure for bleeding the master cylinder or slave cylinder in the clutch. This has a hydraulic clutch because it's a G50. So those are the three items hopefully get done today. Wish me luck. Here we are under the car and I can see the fill plug is this one. It's right next to the bell crank on the G50 and the drain plug is here. Now, it makes sense to take the fill plug out first, check the level, see if it's low on oil, and then also make sure that that plug is not stripped, because if you can't get that out, then you can't, and you've already drained the oil, then you really have a problem of not being able to drive the car. So best to take this one off first, this one second. Pretty tight. Oops. I didn't expect that much oil to come out. I'm wondering maybe that's not the right plug. Let me double check. I might have, let me look at the manual. That was a little too much oil too quick. The car is, pretty level here on the lift. If anything, it's pointing down just a little bit, but that is the correct location for the drain plug. So it appears there's just way too much fluid in there. Normally when you fill this, you want to fill it until it just dribbles out. Well, I've got this pretty warm. I've taken it out for a drive, but it's not excessively hot. It's just, a simple drive, a couple miles around, like maybe 5-10 miles. So this really shouldn't be that full. We'll try to measure how much comes out. Now I did spill probably, I don't know, 2, 3, or 4 tablespoons on the floor, but I'm gonna try to measure how much is in there because the capacity on a USA car is only supposed to be around 3 quarts. Here's a look at the drain plug. It does have some fuzz on it, but no metal fragments or anything really concerning. Basically, that's pretty normal. So we'll wipe that off, get ready to reinstall it. Go wash my hands. I should have gloves on. I was just about to come up with a clever method to pump the fluid into the transaxle. I got the drain plug in, and this is the oil that I had purchased. And come to find out, I don't think it's the right stuff. This is the stuff that is specially made for Porsche. It's called Mobilube PTX. But the problem is it's supposed to be 75-90, and this is 75-80. Because I live in a pretty warm climate, I think it's important to have the 90. I don't think anyone recommends the 80. So I ordered this from the Porsche dealership and I think they sent me the wrong stuff. So this is bad news because now I'm in the same predicament as if I had stripped the drain plug. I have no way to drive the car now. I'll get the correct stuff and be right back. My local auto parts store does have this Mobil 1 synthetic 75-90. This is recommended on a lot of the Porsche forums as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. Now, I've poked a hole in the factory bottle here and just stuck a hose in there. It's kind of an airtight seal. And then what I do is I just took the protective seal off underneath here, and I have a hose on that. So this is my smoke tester. This is pretty handy, but it also has a very low pressure regulator on it. This is 0.5 psi. So what I can do is take the output of that, no smoke. The output of that goes right on top of this, and it's going to pressurize the bottle and just pump the fluid out. So let me show you real quick. Just connecting this to the air pressure, and this is on, but you know it's adjusted really low. So when I pressurize the top of the bottle, this fits over like so. I don't know if you can see that, but it comes out a little bit slow, but it will come out. I don't know if you can see the level going up and down on that. It takes more time to go down. So this is on autopilot now. I was having trouble getting these to stay on because they're both tapered, but it is pumping oil right into the transaxle. And you know, it's not the fastest thing in the world. You can kind of see the level here. It's just going down ever so slightly. While that's pumping in, I'm gonna use this old container, which is also a 1 quart size, a little bit less than a liter. I'm going to see how much fluid I took out of the transmission because I'm still sort of baffled at how overfilled it was. I don't even know how you put that much oil into it. I don't know if it was just pumped in and then the plug was put on it quickly, or if the car was on a big angle. That was 1. That's 2. So I took about 3.5 out, which is somewhat normal. I think I spilled, you know, between the transfers and stuff. It's probably 3.8 liters is what was in there. And I don't think that, I think that's overfilling it for a car that doesn't have the cooler. If you know otherwise, just please let me know. I think it should be filled when the transmission's level. It should be filled right to the sight plug or right to the fill plug, because that is a defined level. I think it's better to do that than just trust the capacity on some data sheet. Like the Bentley manual is often wrong. You can see I'm starting to get to the bottom here, depending where the hose is on the bottom of the bottle. I left a couple, I don't know, 150 milliliters there, but now it's pumping again. It's only as good as the hose goes down to the bottom. So I'll transfer the next bottle to this one and get as much of this stuff out as we can. We're still pumping away. This is, I think, the last of it. So I've already pumped in basically almost 3 full quarts. I had to open the 4th quart just to fill up this space because it won't pump to the very bottom. But right when it gets to about here, it should be exactly 3 quarts. And it's slow going, guys. I think I'm about an hour in of pumping. I mean, I've been doing other things, and you see it's just now starting to dribble out. It's just now running over the fill plug. We really don't want to go too heavy on this one. 22 foot-pounds. That's about it right there. I've dumped the remaining out of the pumping bottle into the 4th container, and sure enough, it's up to 9/10 of a liter. I have 3 empty cans, basically 3 liters. That took it right up to the fill line. I think that's correct for a G50 with no cooler. This was overfilled before, and I'm anxious to know if that was causing some, warm-up issues when it was hard to shift when cold. So time will tell. But while I have it up on the lift, I am going to look at that slave cylinder that actuates the pressure plate. Try to get that bled before I lower it back down. This is the hydraulic line right here that runs up to a slave cylinder. And I've taken the little rubber nipple off of the end of the bleed port, and it's kind of shiny there. I'm just gonna crack it loose. Then we'll go inside the car and we'll do the normal pumping procedure like we would on the brakes. It's gonna be a two-person job. Also, I'm gonna attach a hose to that so it doesn't just pour hydraulic fluid all over the transmission. I will duct it down into my drain pan. Up you go. Down. Okay, up. Down. Up. Okay, down. Up. And then pump it a few times. Does it feel normal again? Normal? Yeah. Okay, thank you, you're done. Okay, I've just put the little black cap back on that bleeder. This is the wrench I was using. It's actually a 9/32, should be 7mm, but I didn't have a closed end on the 7mm. So this is what I used to break it free. And then when I was doing open and close, I was just using this. And there's just barely enough room to operate it there between the transmission and the body. But would love to clean this up someday, but we'll do it a different time. I mean, that's as far forward as it'll come. I'd say the free play is less than a half an inch, 3/8 maybe. The reservoir was pretty full before, but I did pump a fair amount out. So I'm gonna add a little bit of more fluid to this, just put it back up to max. This is new fluid. The brakes have already been bled. I'd done that earlier. Wasn't on camera, but that's something I did as soon as I got the car. New brake pads too. And one of the last things to look at is here on the fog lights. So I got this fog light working, but over here it's not working. Headlights are both on. So I'm gonna probably just replace the bulb. I think that's the problem, but hopefully it's not the wiring, because one side's working, one side's not. I do like having these fog lights eye level. Okay, there's some high temperature sleeving on here, but the wiring doesn't look bad. So there's a connector there, and then this looks like the ground wire. I don't see, I mean, it looks like it's frayed, but that's really just the high temperature part of it. Unless the wiring is damaged behind here, which, it goes right there. I think it goes, yeah, right into the trunk area. So let's change the bulb and see if that fixes it. You can see there's a little bit of distortion on these housings, probably because of the halogen bulbs. So that's why I'm switching to LEDs. A little bit less power won't distort this housing any more than it already is. Try to preserve this. And then you can see this is glass, but it's pretty well, pitted with just all the years of driving. So it looks like the bulb little wire bail, I think. And then that's it. The bulb doesn't look black or anything, but let's swap it out and see what happens. These are the new LED lights from AUXITO, global supplier for automotive. So these, like I said, are LED, pretty nicely made. I'm not going to touch them, but it's a nice aluminum housing. Looks like heat sink with LEDs on both sides. See, it's a little larger than the original. So hopefully it'll go in there. It's got the similar base plate. There's a round feature and a square feature, so it really only goes in one way. You can put it in, yeah, just one way. And the element is horizontal. So I'm gonna put it in the same, if you look at the reflectors, there's a reflector right there. I think you want it in the horizontal orientation. So I'm gonna do that. And then let's see if this clips over. Yeah. These are all weatherproofed as much as possible. Although that warped housing makes it still a little daylight in there. I'm not going to over torque these because I don't want to crack or distort the housing any more than it already is. That should stay in there. Oh wow, they're on. It's yellow. That's kind of cool. See, that one's there is white. And this is yellow. So this does have an option. Looks like there's, yeah, the golden yellow. That's the color of these. Comes in white or ice blue. I happen to get the yellow ones. So that fixed the problem. That's good news. I'll take it out, take some pictures outside so we'll know how it looks from outside with the LED, see which one's brighter. Plus I want to take it for a test drive anyways, test out the clutch and the new shifting with the oil in it. I'm back from the test drive. It actually went really well. Sorry I was unable to bring you. It was dark and you wouldn't be able to see anything. It's actually good for testing the fog lights. But the most notable thing was the clutch pedal. The clutch pedal has much better feel. It's a more positive feel, and the engagement point where the clutch makes its friction material is a little bit lower, which I like that. It's typically a not adjustable clutch. The way the master cylinder and the slave cylinders are designed, it's called, self-adjusting, which it is kind of what it is. I like in Mac, the pedal has a much lower engagement point, but it's working as well as it can. And like I said, it just feels more positive, working great. The transmission is shifting great too. I didn't notice as much of a difference. It hasn't been, like a cold morning yet. And you could still tell it was a little slower to shift when I pulled it out of the garage, but within like 2 blocks, it feels great. It shifts really nice, really smooth, in and out of gear like a Honda would. So that's good. I feel better about having the correct level and an oil that is known and fresh. So that was a worthwhile time. And then the fog lights are nice too. I actually like the yellow. They're plenty bright. I got out, took some pictures. They work great. I think the brightness is good. I put my hand on the lenses after like 10 minutes of driving, and the passenger side was hot. It's a halogen bulb. The driver's side, which is the new LED bulb, was actually cool to the touch. So I feel better about it because on a hot day, you typically don't have fog on a hot day, but some people like to drive with the fog lights on, and it's just not going to melt the wiring. It's not going to melt the housings, but you get the same amount of light output and it looks completely stock. If you like the look of the white color, they come in a white color too. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested in picking up those LEDs. I think they fit well and the worthwhile upgrade. So that's it. The 3 things all completed to my satisfaction at least. Always hiccups along the way, but thank you guys for being here. Enjoy your weekend and I'll see you guys next Saturday. Cheers.